My sister said my son didn't deserve cake because I would buy her a Mercedes, so I wrote a spreadsheet called Boundaries. They all laughed when I said no, like setting limits was comedy. But the next day at her son's party, I showed up with silence, truth, and a list of everything I've funded. And I took back every inch. Hi, I'm Craig, 34, a music producer, a dad to a 7-year-old named Mason, and apparently, the villain in a sitcom my sister's been starring in since high school. Yesterday, at a family dinner, my sister Lily looked me dead in the eye and said, "Then your son doesn't deserve to attend my son's birthday." This was after I said no to buying her a $168,000 Mercedes G-Class. Everyone laughed. Everyone. Like I had just told a joke instead of a boundary. I said calmly, "Everyone will get what they deserve." They had no idea what awaited them the next day. Here's the thing about being the fix-it sibling. You get really good at solving everyone else's life like it's a recurring algebra problem. You also get really good at swallowing things whole. Pride, discomfort, sarcasm dressed up as love. I grew up over a nail salon. That meant the soundtrack of my childhood was dryers spinning and muffled gossip through the floorboards. Lily, younger by 2 years but louder by 10, learned early how to weaponize need. You cried loud enough, someone gave you a cookie. Me? I learned to stay useful. Stay quiet. When I got my first check from a top 40 hook, I bought my parents a new AC unit. Then came the cascade: Dad's car, Lily's rent, Mom's overdue dental work. I didn't say much. I figured that was the job. I had money now. I could help. But help became habit. And habit became invisible. And being invisible became expected. A few weeks ago, Mason and I showed up to my parents' house for dinner. Roast chicken, creaky chairs, the same dusty doilies that had survived every family Thanksgiving. Mason sat next to me, drawing dinosaurs with a highlighter. My sister showed up 15 minutes late, sunglasses on indoors like she was dodging TMZ in our cul-de-sac. She barely said hi before glancing at Mason's sneakers and chirping, "Still doing hand-me-downs?" I should have said something. I didn't. I just kept cutting Mason's chicken into polite squares. Dessert rolls around, and Lily taps her spoon on her bowl like she's announcing the Queen's entrance. So my car died for real this time. Then she looks straight at me. "Craig, I sent you the links. I want the matte one. You'll love it." That's when I said it. No. Like a glass broke in the room. My mom blinked. My dad chuckled like I'd made a joke. Someone, maybe my aunt, actually clapped. "Lily?" She just smiled at Mason and said, "Your daddy's so funny." I looked at her. "I'm not buying you a car." That's when she dropped it. The line. The sentence. The jawbreaker. "Then your son doesn't deserve to attend my son's birthday." She said it slow, like she was savoring the syllables. There was a pause. The kind where you can hear everyone trying to decide whether to gasp or laugh. Then came the laughter. Real, out loud, open-mouthed laughter. I said, "Everyone will get what they deserve." And nobody believed me. But the next morning, at her son's party, under pastel streamers and a balloon arch that screamed Instagram bait, I showed them what a real boundary looks like. And I showed them quiet can get loud too. The party was everything I expected from Lily, curated chaos wrapped in faux humility. There was a bounce house shaped like a pirate ship, a balloon artist in a bow tie, and a cotton candy machine that looked like it had its own PR team. On the driveway, a handwritten chalkboard sign. "Welcome to Jaden's crew. No gifts over $100. Experiences only." Lily's new version of humble bragging. I parked 3 houses down. Not for drama. Just for space. I needed a buffer between the tension in my gut and the smile I'd be expected to wear. Mason, bless his tiny oblivious heart, held the birthday card we made together. A blue car sketched in crayon, $5 folded inside from his allowance. It looked so small in his hands. As we walked up, I spotted Lily standing near the garage, phone in hand, ring light set up behind her like a halo. Jordan, her sometimes fiancé, sometimes live-in, co-parent, plus, possible, DJ, manager, who knows, stood beside her, holding balloons like they were shields. Lily clocked us immediately. Her smile flicked on like stage lights. "Oh. You came," she said. "I told Mason we would." I kept my voice steady. "But we won't be staying long." Her eyes skipped over me and landed on Mason. She knelt down, fake sweet. "Sorry, baby. Today's just for people who support the family." I looked down. Mason blinked, confused. Auntie Lily shrugged at me. "Did you bring the keys to my car?" And that was it. Not the words. The tone. Like I was her assistant who forgot to grab oat milk. I crouched down to Mason's level. "Hey bud, can you go sit with Grandpa for a minute?" He nodded, still clutching the card, still not understanding. Thank God. I stood and looked my sister in the eye. "No," I said. "We're leaving." Lily laughed. "You're seriously doing this here?" Mom appeared, apron on, wide smile like a white flag. "Craig, don't cause a scene. There are children present." "You caused a scene yesterday," I said. "When you said my son doesn't deserve cake." My dad stopped flipping burgers and froze, tongs in hand like he just realized they were weapons. My voice stayed low, not angry, not pleading, just final. The voice I use at 4 a.m. in a studio when someone's crying in the booth and the take we need is one boundary away. I've paid for braces, rent, power bills, storage units, deposits, and dinners. I've been your bank, your backup plan, your guilt-shaped ATM. But this? I nodded toward Mason. This ends now. Lily crossed her arms. You're being dramatic. No, I said. I'm being clear. Mason is not a punishment you hand out because I won't fund your aesthetic. Jordan mumbled something. Bro, chill. But I held up a hand. This is a family conversation. One I've needed to have for years. I pointed toward the cake table, the Instagram-ready archway, the sign that read, Lily and Jaden's World. I'm done underwriting this. I felt the phones come out before I saw them. That little ripple when everyone knows they're witnessing a moment. I turned to my mom. Mason is not a bargaining chip. He's not a consequence. And I will not teach him that love is earned through silence and transactions. Dad set the tongs down. Mom looked like someone had unplugged her. Lily smirked. So what now? You're punishing us? I looked at her, really looked at her, and said, No. I'm accepting who you are. And I'm choosing who I am. From behind me, Mason's voice. Dad? I turned. His mouth trembled. Can I still give Jaden his card? Of course, buddy. He walked over, held out the folded drawing. Jaden took it, looked at his mom, then at Mason, and hugged him. Kids know. We left. No slamming doors. No final insults. Just my hand on Mason's shoulder, guiding him past foil letters and fake smiles and bad math disguised as love. They didn't know it yet, but that was the day everything changed. Here's what people misunderstand about boundaries. They think it's revenge in yoga pants. It's not. It's a spreadsheet with feelings. It's love with a ledger. And that night, after Mason fell asleep curled up with his dinosaur nightlight and zero knowledge that he'd been disinvited from cake, I got to work. I opened my laptop. I titled the note, Boundaries. Not poetic. Not passive-aggressive. Just honest. First line, I am not a lender. Second line, I am not a guarantor. Third, I am your son. Your brother. Mason's dad. That's all. Then I made a list. Mom's phone line. Still on my family plan. Dad's truck insurance. Temporarily covered, for 14 months. Lily's storage unit. My card on file, naturally. 2 streaming services, a gym membership, and a productivity app one didn't even know I was paying for. Next line, any money owed will be itemized, documented, and addressed like adults. I drafted 3 emails. To Mom, effective tomorrow, I'll be removing non-household lines from the cell plan. Here are the steps to port your number. To Dad, your insurance payment will shift to your card on the 1st. Here's the policy number and instructions. To Lily. Attached is an itemized list of debts owed with dates. Let's set up a realistic payment plan. New boundary. If you'd like to dispute anything, send receipts to everyone. If you want money, ask a bank. If you want access to Mason, start with an apology. I reread each draft twice. Deleted every spicy line. This wasn't about heat. This was the cold, clean burn of clarity. At 9:14 p.m., I hit send. By 9:18 p.m., my phone started ringing. Mom. Declined. Lily. Ignored. Dad. Sent to voicemail. By 10:02 p.m., I had 27 missed calls. The group chat lit up like a Christmas tree wired to a car battery. Aunt Sheila, Craig is doing policies now? Laugh emoji. Mom, you always had a big heart. Dad, be a man. Lily, I'm billing you for emotional labor. This is weaponized trauma. I made tea. I answered none of it. I sent one message to the whole group. I love my family. I am setting boundaries. That's all. Then I muted the thread. Here's what came next. Phase 1, humor. Craig's doing invoices now? Send a calendar invite for forgiveness. Phase 2, guilt. Your grandmother would be ashamed. It was just a car. Mason will suffer. Phase 3, anger. You think you're better. Money changed you. You're not invited to Thanksgiving. Phase 4, bargaining. Okay, not a G-Wagon. What about a used CLA? We'll pay you back quick. We can do payments, Venmo works. I sent the same reply every time. Please refer to the email. By Monday morning, the phone plan changes went through. At 9:06 a.m., my mom texted from a new number. I can't get into my Instagram. I sent her the customer support link. At 10:13 a.m., Dad called. You embarrass me. I sent you everything you need for the truck insurance. I replied. He hung up. Lily posted a Black Story slide. When your own brother turns his back because he hates to see you win. Followed by a clip of her crying. Followed by a link to lip gloss. I muted her too. Here's what no one tells you about finally saying no, the piece isn't loud. It hums. Later that day, Mason asked. Did I do something bad? No, but, I said. You did everything right. Grown-ups just made a bad rule. He nodded slowly. Then asked if we could get fries. We did. Shoes off, ketchup on our jeans, sun setting like the world knew we needed a win. That was the real turning point. Not the emails. Not the voicemails. It was the moment I realized I didn't need to win the argument. I just needed to walk out of the room. Tuesday morning came in soft, like the universe wanted to make sure I wouldn't bail on the new version of myself. Mason got ready for school in a dinosaur hoodie and unmatched socks. He picked a granola bar with the same seriousness I imagine Lily picks fonts for her mood boards. We were halfway out the door when the first knock came. My mom. Unannounced. Purse in hand. Determined. Hi, sweetheart, she said. Voice too bright. Smile too tight. The kind she uses before delivering a guilt grenade. I didn't know you were coming, I said, keeping the door only halfway open. I thought we could talk. I glanced at Mason, who was trying to stuff a juice pouch into his backpack upside down. We can talk on the porch. That was the first domino. She blinked like I just slammed the door in her face. But to her credit, she stepped outside without a fight. She looked down at the little row of Mason's shoes by the door. You're not the boy I raised, she said. No, I said, calm and not sorry. I became the man I had to be. She stood there for a long second. Then, surprisingly, softened. Her voice dropped. You know your sister, she began, as if she were reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. She says things? She said them about my son, I said. And you laughed. Her mouth quivered. It was the first time I saw the impact land. Not bounce. Not deflect. Just land. I didn't mean to, she began. But you did, I said. And now the rules are different. She nodded once. It was small, but real. A chalk mark in a new column. What do you need me to do? She asked. Tell the family the rule, I said. Mine. If anyone uses Mason to punish me, they don't see him. If anyone asks me for money, the answer is no. If anyone has something kind to say, the answer is yes. Another pause. Then, okay, she whispered. Okay. She didn't ask to come inside. She didn't pivot to a new crisis. She left. And that might have been the most respectful thing she's done in 5 years. By the afternoon, the phones were quieter. The group chat sat like stale bread, no new drama, no fresh insults, no. Just checking in. Bait disguised as concern. But the silence from Lily wasn't peace. It was humming. Sharp. Electric. Waiting. She'd taken her tantrum underground, no longer loud, now strategic. At 1:11 a.m. that night my phone lit up. Lily. I let it ring out. Then came the text. I can't pay the storage. They'll sell my samples. No preamble. No explanation. No. Hey, hope Mason's well. Just another fire she hoped I'd put out. I typed. Deleted. Typed again. Then landed on the simplest thing I've learned to say. I hope you figure it out. She replied. One word. One name. Craig. No jokes. No LOL. No. Big bro. Just my name. That shook me more than it should have. But I didn't answer. I turned the phone over, face down, and went back to the thing I'd been building. Not a spreadsheet. Not a list. Not an email draft. My own EP. My music. My sound. My voice. The thing I'd put off for years because I was too busy writing other people's hooks. At 2:47 a.m., I whispered the chorus into a mic and smiled when I saw the waveform. It was nothing fancy. Just true. What I don't know, I can finally give. 3 days after the party, I took Mason to the park. Just us. Just quiet. He rode his scooter in figure eights across the pavement, while I sat on a bench, hands still, phone silent. The sun was out. The kind of sharp, clean autumn light that makes everything look more honest. He skidded to a stop in front of me, helmet askew. "Dad," he said, breathing hard. "Do I still have a cousin?" I blinked. "Yeah," I said. "Always." He nodded. "Then, even when Auntie Lily's mad?" I crouched down eye level. "Especially then." He squinted. "So can we go back to Jaden's next birthday?" "Maybe," I said. "But only if people are kind." He tilted his head. "Like a rule?" I smiled. "Exactly like a rule." He seemed satisfied. Pushed off on his scooter again. My son, 7 years old and already grasping boundaries better than most adults in my life. That night, we made dinner together. Boxed mac and cheese. Mason added way too much pepper. I didn't stop him. We called it dragon cheese. He laughed so hard at his own joke he hiccuped. I recorded the sound. I wanted to remember this, not just the moment, but the stillness inside it. The hum of a house without guilt curling in the corners. Later, after he fell asleep, I found 3 envelopes under the front door. One was from the cell carrier confirming the line change. One from the insurance company finalizing the switch on Dad's truck. And the last was a handmade card. Crayons. Jagged handwriting. Uncle Craig. Sorry about my MOM. Thank you for the $5. Love, Jaden. It hit me like a piano chord. Simple. True. Undeniable. Not because it was sweet. Because it was his. Not Lily's words. His. Kids don't fake truth. They don't spin narrative. They just see. I sat on the floor and cried in that quiet way you do when your body finally believes you're safe. Not sad. Not angry. Just finally, done carrying what was never yours. The next morning, Lily texted. I was wrong to say that about Mason. No emoji. No follow-up. No. But you. Just a sentence. I stared at it. Read it twice. Then I wrote back. Thank you? Then, before I could talk myself out of it. When you're ready to make a plan for the debt, I'm here. When you're ready to see Mason, you can apologize to him, not to me. He remembers. She responded 5 minutes later. Okay. Not a big speech. No dramatic scene. Just a crack. And sometimes, that's where the light actually gets in. In the weeks that followed, I didn't feel triumphant. I felt balanced. Like my life had been tilted so far in one direction for so long that standing straight felt like rebellion. I paid off the last piece of Mason's school tuition. Finished the final track on my EP, called it Quiet Isn't Weak. Uploaded it. No promo. No gimmick. Just the sound of a man no longer performing. I threw Mason a small birthday in our backyard. $10 streamers. Costco cake. A used speaker playing the Sonic the Hedgehog soundtrack because that's what he loves. Jaden came. Lily didn't. He handed Mason a dinosaur figurine and a folded note. I didn't read it, but Mason did. Then he smiled. Tucked it in his pocket like treasure. And I let that be enough. The following Monday, I started working with a financial coach. Someone not related to me. Someone who didn't guilt-trip me mid-session. Someone who helped me draw a new map of my life that didn't include bailing out my sister as a monthly line item. I built fences. Literal and metaphorical. Put locks on things that were mine. Gave keys to people who earned them. And slowly, the noise died down. Family group chat turned into announcements about bingo nights and recipes. Lily stopped tagging me in stories. Stopped subtweeting me. Started going quiet. And in that quiet, maybe she was building her own version of truth. I didn't wait for it. I just lived. Mason asked me one night, "Do you think Auntie Lily will ever be nice again?" I thought for a long time. Then said, "I think she might be trying." He nodded. Then added, "I hope she makes good choices." Me too, buddy. Me too. A few Sundays later, we got an invite. Not from Lily. From my mom. Lunch at our place, the message read. No speeches. Just sandwiches. Mason asked for ham? I showed it to Mason. He cheered. We went. It was weird at first. Nobody mentioned the party. Or the texts. Or the months of fallout. We sat around the old table and passed condiments like nothing had ever exploded. That's the thing about family. Sometimes the only apology you'll get is a normal day. And you learn to take it. After we ate, Mason went to play cards with Grandpa. My mom and I stood by the sink washing dishes. She didn't look at me when she said, "Thank you for doing what I couldn't." I didn't say anything. Just rinsed the plate in my hand. Then she added, "You saved your son. You saved us too. Even if we didn't want it." I didn't cry. I just nodded. That night back home, Mason asked me if we were a new kind of family now. I said yes. Because we were. Not perfect. Not harmonious. But aware. And that's where healing starts. Here's what I know now. You don't owe people your peace to prove your love. You don't have to buy silence to keep the room calm. And you sure as hell don't have to sacrifice your child's safety to maintain someone else's fantasy of family. Boundaries aren't punishment. They're protection. They're structure. They're proof that you love yourself enough not to be used. I used to think, everyone will get what they deserve. Sounded harsh. Now, it sounds like justice with context. Like truth with manners. Like freedom with receipts. And Mason? He got what he deserved. A dad who showed up. A birthday that didn't involve a bargaining chip. And a life not funded by guilt. I'm not out for revenge. I'm just out of the loop. And if that means peace, then so be it. I'm Craig. I write hooks for a living. This was mine.